So, are you someone who avoids looking at yourself, avoids feeling all the things you need to feel, and zooms out into your phone and scrolls and tries to stay busy and all of the things? Well, I want to talk about that self avoidance today and what it really means, and the fact that this self avoidance pattern is actually an addiction. So, stay with me as I unpack this. I think this is going to give you so much clarity. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm Ketra Thompson. I am a certified master hypnotist and a relationship and attachment style coach. So, what I do with my clients is I help them go back on a subconscious level to reframe that programming that's driving their unwanted feelings, behaviors, patterns subconsciously so they can step into this new way of being in a way that actually is fulfilling. So, if you'd like to learn more, you can check out the link in the description below where you can set up a completely complimentary consultation call where you and I can chat and I can help you get clarity and I will give you my best recommendation and there is absolutely no obligation to you. So, you'll want to check that out. So, let's talk about this avoidance piece, this self avoidance being an addiction. Not being able to be with yourself is a really big deal. And if you're one of those people, you'll probably use anything to escape. So I want to explain why this happens. Now, think about it like this. Babies have the best guidance system ever. We are born with this incredible guidance system, and it's our feelings and our emotions. Now, when a baby cries and has a need, it doesn't have words to explain it, but it knows exactly what that need is. So if a baby cries because it has a wet diaper it wants changed, but someone gives it a bottle, it's going to just shake its little head. You've probably heard me use this analogy before because it's not hungry. It knows it needs a diaper change. Okay. So it knows because of its feelings and its emotions what its needs are. And we are born with that, but we lose it because people grow up in homes where other people are already exhausted. They don't have capacity. They don't have the space or know-how or understanding to deal with our feelings and our emotions. So we get told, get over it. Stop crying. It's no big deal. And we get disconnected from what our emotions and feelings are telling us about our needs. So this is the best example. I love this example. Let's just imagine all your feelings and emotions are like the lights and gauges on the dashboard of your car. All those lights and gauges are good. They're just giving you information. But if your oil light comes on saying you're out of oil and you just think, well, all I've ever done was put gas in this car. So I'm just going to keep putting gas in the car. You're going to burn up the engine. Okay. So this is what happens when we have a feeling or an emotion and we distract. We scroll on our phone. We go get a snack we aren't actually hungry for. We do all these things because avoiding ourself is something that we don't know how to meet the need anymore. We have the feeling, we have the emotion, but we no longer know what need actually is coming up within us because we're disconnected from ourselves. And so it becomes an addictive pattern to do this thing, whether it's having a snack and eating when we're not hungry, or smoking, or drinking, or scrolling on our phone, or constantly having to have sound going on in the background. Whatever it is that keeps us from tuning into what's going on inside of us is our avoidant pattern with ourself. And that self-avoidance not only becomes an addiction, it becomes our biggest downfall, our biggest enemy, because we aren't meeting our needs in real time. We aren't honoring our needs. We're sure as heck not communicating our needs. And we're betraying ourselves by continuing to put gas in a car that actually needs more oil. And then we reach midlife and we're burned out. We are exhausted. We are worn out because just like that car burns up its engine because it needed oil and we just gave it gas, we needed a lot of things we did not give ourselves. And now we're exhausted. We are worn out. We don't have capacity for anything more. And the weird part about this is we thought that all the people pleasing or over functioning or avoidant patterns or whatever we were doing to distract ourselves or make ourselves be loved and accepted by the people around us, up to this point were serving us. Because when we're young, sometimes they did serve us. When we didn't have the ability to pay our own bills and survive, we depended on those caregivers, and we needed their love and their attention. We needed them to not hate us. We wanted their approval desperately because our life depended on it. And then we continued that pattern into our adult life, and the buildup of not meeting our needs, especially up to the midlife point, which is really anytime between 35 and 60, we start to feel the pressure of that. Now the engine's not running very well. Now the engine's really having issues and it's burning up, and we don't know why and we don't know what to do about it. So this fear of being with yourself has created so much overwhelm inside your system that you no longer know how to function, because it's no longer working to put gas in the car. It isn't cutting it. We still feel empty. We still feel like our life is meaningless. We still feel depressed. We still feel anxious. We still feel overwhelmed. We still feel like if we do meet our own needs and say no to someone or communicate clearly or even express our needs with the people in our life, that we're going to be rejected, because your subconscious mind is running over 95% of everything you think, feel, and do. And it is primarily programmed from birth to age 7. And then we add to the programming with the repetitious behaviors of the other people who have the most access to us. And so many times those repetitious behaviors are negative. They're complaining, they're withholding of affection, they're all these things that aren't actually helping us. And so we're running on a program that even if we consciously want to break it, we really can't, because the subconscious mind is running over 95% of everything, everything. And so this old programming and our addiction to avoiding our own feelings is burning up the engine, causing exhaustion and burnout. So you have a choice. You can keep avoiding being with yourself, avoiding listening to yourself, avoiding sitting with the grief, the things that need to be processed, or you can do something different. Now, that avoidant process just digs you into a deeper hole. Just like the person who moves on very quickly to, loses a significant relationship in their life and then immediately just jumps right to the next and the next. They're avoiding feeling the pain of the first relationship, but at some point, that pain is going to catch up. It's in there and it hasn't been felt yet. And it needs to be felt. So we can keep doing that, but we're kind of digging a grave for ourselves, at least in our own emotional well-being. We're creating so much self-betrayal that it just gets worse. Or we can do the real work. We can actually reframe the subconscious programming, which is what we do with that hypnotherapy process. And then step into a new path of showing up different, communicating differently, being honest with the world around you and with yourself. And that does require some work, but it's the only path to satisfaction. It's the only path to meaningful connection that isn't based on performative behavior or self-betrayal. It's the only path that honors who you are, whether you have another person in your life that's significant or not. It's a self-honoring process, and it matters that you stop putting gas in the car when it needs more oil. And so sit with yourself and really pay attention to what comes up. There's a beautiful path along the river where I live, and I purposely walk that path with no earbuds in. I don't drown out my thoughts or my feelings. I might have my dog out there with me, but mostly it's quiet, it's early morning, and I am just present in the moment. I'm allowing myself to notice nature, but also to just let whatever is there be there. Sometimes there is sadness and it comes to the surface, and I think, if I hadn't slowed down, I wouldn't have known that was there. It would have gotten shoved down just like all the other things in the past and built up and come out at a point where I really didn't want it to come out, where it wasn't necessary or it wasn't appropriate. So I allow myself to feel it. I get curious about it. Maybe there's a story around it, maybe there's not. I allow myself to process my feelings and give myself the space to meet my own needs, so that there is no more build up the way that I did for the first half of life. I'm in my 40s. And a lot of people in their 40s are coming to this realization that what they have been doing simply isn't working anymore. They can't just distract away from their feelings. They can't just constantly have this self-avoidance so they don't have to look at themselves. And here's the other way this plays out. In a relationship in conflict, when someone can't come back and repair after conflict, it's often because they refuse to look at themselves. They refuse to be self-reflective enough to say, hey, here's what I did that I don't want to do again. I need to own that. Hey, I responded this way, said this thing, did this thing, and I don't want to be like that. I don't want that to be the pattern. I want to move forward in a different way. Here's my plan for how I'm going to move forward. Because if they did that, it would bring up so much suppressed shame and embarrassment, and it would be so painful for them to look at themselves that they refuse to look at themselves. They blame their partner and they distract away once again with the self-avoidance process. It doesn't go anywhere. There's no real depth or resolution that happens because they aren't willing to sit with themselves and get curious about themselves and step away from the blame game. And it doesn't start in relationships. That's what reveals it. Relationships reveal this pattern where you're unwilling to repair because you are addicted to avoiding yourself. It's too painful. Where it starts in the healing process is within yourself. You have to start looking at yourself without the narrative of whatever your caregivers or parents had. There's a saying that the voice inside our head becomes whatever we grew up with. So whatever our parents, however they talked to us or treated us, or the assumptions they made about us, is the way we talk to ourselves, the way we treat ourselves, the assumptions we make about ourselves. So if they're abusive some way emotionally, when they stop, we carry the torch and we continue that emotional abuse of ourselves. It has to stop there. We have to stop giving ourselves the narrative and the story about what these things mean about us and actually get curious about what's going on inside of ourselves. And of course, I'm partial, but I truly believe the fastest, most effective route to that is the subconscious work. Because we can talk about it all day, we can read about it in books all day, but if we don't do that deep subconscious work, we're going to have a battle on our hands. Because the subconscious is running over 95% of everything we think, feel, and do. So if you're in midlife like me, if you're over 40, even if you're not over 40, I've had so many clients in their 20s benefit from this. But especially if you're around midlife, it's time to take an inventory of what has been working, what hasn't been working, what you've been avoiding, what you would need to actually take a look at yourself without beating yourself up, without being so negative, to get out of the burnout, the exhaustion, the ongoing relationship patterns that just keep happening, the anxiety. It's time to feel better. It's not time to rehash everything from your past. It's time to reframe it and to feel better. And that is a huge difference from talking about it forever. It's actually action-based in that it gets to the root of the issue. So I hope this was helpful. I hope it gave you some clarity. And if you're someone who finds yourself numbing out by scrolling on your phone forever, staying busy, not being able to sit still, not being able to just lounge and be outside and be like, ah, it's a beautiful day. This just feels good. There's nothing I have to do, without guilt, without shame, without thinking you have to earn your rest. If you're just constantly avoiding the stillness of a moment because it will let out all of the chaos inside of you, that's an indication you have some work to do. And you can feel better. You don't have to keep going like this. So if you'd like to learn more about how you can do that deep, deep subconscious work and actually create momentum toward feeling good in life and stopping that cycle of really avoiding yourself, then set up that consultation call so you and I can chat. And at the very least, you will walk away with so much clarity. And I also would really appreciate it if you would click like and subscribe so you can be notified every time I post a new video, and it helps me to reach more people. So I really appreciate that. Until next time, I hope you curate a life by your own design.